Hey guys, Evan's coming at you. Super excited just to chat with you a little bit of how to prepare for remote training. Over this time period, remote coaching, remote training, virtual training, all these words have been used a lot on the marketplace. And I just want to share with you how to prepare for the session so you can have a successful journey. Now, just to be clear, what remote coaching is not, so you go on Facebook, you see people doing these Zoom or these Facebook Live videos, and you can stay at home and you can kind of work out with them. It's almost like Taibo experience with a DVD, except for it's on social media. That's not what we're talking about. For exercise physiologists, personal trainers, someone who has experience in the field, their expertise is in their ability to see your movement pattern and assist you in making a better movement, or show you how to increase or decrease weight safely to move towards over your health and fitness outcomes. So today I'm going to talk about how do you prepare for that session. I've been hearing stories. I have friends from all over the place, and they're like, yeah, I'm doing remote training with my trainer. And when I hear what happens, I see that there's a little bit of opportunity in the marketplace. So, that's what we're going to talk about, how to prepare for remote training. There's 4 key components, and the first one is the pregame. Basically, before you should get on with a trainer or coach to do a session, you should probably get on with them to plan for that session, to talk about things like your health history, like what's going on. Are you, do you have high blood pressure or high cholesterol or diabetes or vertigo? There's a lot of different challenges that, may happen. Do you have any physical limitations? So they should take you through a series of questions and sometimes a series of movements to see how well you move. Give you something that's simple. If I put my hand over my head, I'm doing great right now, but let's say I had pain over here. Well, actually elbows. I had pain going above my head, then what I should do is not do overhead pressing, because I'm just going to increase pain on that joint. So they can easily, do some quick assessments and questions to see what's going on and how to make adjustments from there. In the pregame, they'll talk about what equipment you need to be successful. One of the things we like to use is a tripod with our clients. And do I have one here? No. But what's really cool about the tripod is it allows you to, yep, here it is. Beautiful. Thank you. So it's something like this here, and you can literally put your phone on top with the connection piece or put the bigger piece to connect for your iPad on there. And that allows you to adjust the screen. So you're not constantly trying to adjust a laptop, or your phone is not cropped up against something falling every couple of minutes and ruining the session. So they'll go through things like the technology, the equipment. Sometimes on the technology side is things like, having an iPad or a tablet, because then you can see in a full view or a larger screen your coach versus on a smaller device. So not everybody needs that, but it's definitely something that helps with the experience. In this pregame, they'll also talk about technology, meaning some people use Zoom, some people may use other pieces, how to pin something in your Zoom so only that person who's talking you can see. And lastly, they'll cover your goals. What do you want to accomplish? What's the timeline on it, and how we can support you in there. After the pregame, I kind of touched in a little bit because I went into the tripods and I got excited with all that. But, the next step is really the setup. Is really just getting you set up for that session in there. And how do you set up is good lighting. So, right now I have the light on my face, but sometimes I may be in a room and the windows are back here, so the light's shining on me and you can see me clearly. But if I turn around and have my back against the window where the light's coming in, I look like I'm in the witness protection program. So it's really important that your trainer or coach can see you and your face is facing the light. I talked about the tripod and the iPad already. Other things is just being far enough away. So I'll give you an example. Let's say you're using bands, and in your pregame, you may even talk about equipment and what equipment you guys use, and therefore they can create the program specific for you. But let's say you're using bands and there's a door over here and you're right here, in the screen doing the bands, then they need to be able to see you. If they're here, they can't see what's going on with your body. So if you're further away, now they can see your entire arm and they can see that row. So if you're like this, they can see the row. If you're doing a chest press, they can see you all the way. So they need to see the full extension of that joint that's moving when you're exercising. So really, really important component. So about 4 to 6 feet away. What a lot of people like to use is some AirPods or, some sort of Bluetooth device. So they have a headset on and you can hear your coach right in your ear. So that's something that can help you with the setup for it. Last thing is having good spacing and being aware of your surroundings. So ideally, if you got 6 feet, if you got somewhere you can lay down and stand back up, you should have enough space in order to get a good session in. But, let's say you have multiple children or you got a dog that's running around all the time. Well, that's going to inhibit your workout experience, to be honest. The dog is cute and you may have that nice cute moment. Oh, that's a cute dog. But this is a moment that's dedicated to you and moving towards your goals. So we'd recommend, close the door and dedicate that time specific for you. The third thing I wanted to cover is just how the session's supposed to go. So if you're doing a remote training session, it's just like an in-person appointment. When you show up to the fitness facility and you're working with your coach to get to your goals, well, they shouldn't be late. So same way with the technology pieces, that should be done in advance so people are prepared for it. So you should start on time, meaning if you have a 5 o'clock Zoom, meeting or whatever technology you use for your coach, for your training session, 5 o'clock, you should be ready. Honestly, you should be on like maybe 3 to 5 minutes early. Just so everybody can just let you in the room and you play the game and you start working out at 5. It should also end on time. We understand, at least for us, many of our clients that we serve are busy professionals and time is a great commodity that we don't have the luxury of just wasting it. So we start on time, we end on time. What does that mean? Oh man, I showed up 5 minutes late to my session. That doesn't mean I get an extended session, right? That means I got 5 minutes less of my session time. Warm-ups. One of the things I see that has helped people a lot lately is when we send them the warm-up in advance. So before let's say it was a 5 o'clock session, you're already warmed up and you're ready to play the game. You do not need to pay your coach to warm you up. I always thought, even in the traditional gym setting, that in big box gyms, that was the biggest waste of time. I see someone pay for an hour-long training session. They're spending 10 minutes on the treadmill. I'm like, you're paying this guy to walk on a treadmill? That doesn't even make sense. So similarly, the warm-ups you can do prior. Now, many times, depending on your coach, and I know for us, we have very custom warm-ups that we do and things like that, you may not even know what those exercises are. So your first session would typically include the warm-up with it. So it'll still be, if it's 30-minute session, it'll still be a 30-minute session. Trust me, at the end of the warm-up, it'll feel like a workout. And then they will go through the warm-up with you, send it over to you, and now you're prepared to do that warm-up prior to said session. So that's the session piece. The last thing is understanding how to communicate with your coach. So this is coaching, right? So there's different things that we use. There's a scale of measurement that we use to generate intensity. And one is called RPE. It's a rate of perceived exertion. So initially, it's important for you to kind of give your coach some feedback on how is that. So sometimes, I give you an example. I was training a couple at 5 o'clock this morning. They're on the other side of the screen. I'm in our Milford location, and I'm like, hey, how is it? When I ask that question, like how you're doing or how is it, how is the intensity? I'm asking you, how intense is that? So if it was a 10, from 1 to 10, that means no matter what number of reps it was, you could not do any more than what was prescribed. But if you can do more, then it's a lower and lower number. The ideal space to be at is probably somewhere around 8 to 9, where in there, unless you're more advanced of a lifter, then you can kind of push it a little bit more. Traditionally in cueing, and this is the reason why a lot of people like personal training, is that you have a trainer to say, hey, I saw you wince, or I saw you do this particular movement. Let's make some adjustments based on that. Well, in the remote space, they can't see you wince. They can't see those different nonverbal cues that you would normally give. So it's important that if something doesn't feel right, you're communicating with that component. Also, you also notice that in that remote session, they may ask you a lot more questions because it's not just native or intuitive that, oh, I saw them do that and that means X. So we may say, hey, how you doing? And they're doing all these check-ins in there to help you. So those are some key components. If you're not doing that in your remote sessions, I'd go back and just audit it. Go back and look at, does my pregame have all the pieces in there to ensure that my program is being created for me? Have I been able to set up? Do I have the tripod? Do I have all these little things to ensure that I'm having success, in my session? You know, is my session starting on time? Do I have my warm-ups? If not, you're paying your coach. So you can reach out to them and say, hey, I've learned that we need to add some other things in here, you know, to ensure that you're getting the quality that you need. And then lastly, you know, are you communicating? Is it intense? And I even add this extra little bit of bonus to it, is that a lot of times people like to rate their sessions, or we ask clients to do that in the early parts, you know, rate it from 1 to 5. And it's not about how hard the session was, but for someone who's trained before, how would you rate that session in relation to an in-person session? And a 5 means that, hey, you know, that was just like it was in there. You know, thank you, Lynn. And a 1 means that that was the worst experience. Ideally, we want to get to that 4 to 5 space where, you know, it's just like in person. It's just that we can't give you a hug over the computer. You know, here's a virtual hug for those who want to hug. You know, we can't, you know, touch you. You know, there's the tactile cueing. You know, those things you just can't do over a computer. But as far as execution, your ability to move you towards your goals, then, you know, that's what you're rating it within. So hopefully this helps you guys. I know remote training is here to stay. Some people call it different things all over the place. It's not program design. It's not watching people on, you know, workout. It's a great way to help you move towards your goals no matter where you are. So if you want to learn more, feel free to reach out to us. Our number's right here on the screen. Even on our YouTube page, we also have some examples of what it looks like inside of a remote training session as well. So have a wonderful day and talk to you guys in a bit.